All praise, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to my apostles and elders at Great Millstone, and honors to all you fellow laborers that are enduring affliction to bring out this word in sincerity and in faith. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. Barakathum to all you sincere listeners, and shalom to you. Okay, so I want to go into this lesson on how Esau's through, okay? Because you can never go into that enough. And this is just another example of the so-called white man, particular the so-called white man in America being totally done, okay? It didn't take long for the U.S. to rack up another $1 trillion of debt. This came out the 20th, I believe. Today's the 21st, 22nd, something like that. It has taken a little more than 6 months for the U.S. national debt to grow by $1 trillion, a quick clip that has little precedent over the nation's recent history. Last week, the debt hit $21 trillion for the first time, rising from the $20 trillion mark it notched on September the 8th. The debt is guaranteed to go higher, with President Donald Trump having signed a debt limit suspension in February, allowing unlimited borrowing through March 1st, 2019. Yeah, because Trump, he has a lot of projects that he wants to push through. The main one that you hear in the news is that wall. And look, they don't want just a wall between America and Mexico. They want a wall between California and Arizona now, man. Which all that's going to do is just fulfill biblical prophecy. The scriptures say that a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. So you see how the Lord is manifesting everything physically on the earth. Economists expect wider deficits to result from the tax cut Trump signed in December. While a $1 trillion increase over roughly 6 months isn't unprecedented, there was one in 2009 during the Great Recession and another in 2010, it's certainly fast. The national debt exceeded $20 trillion in September 2017 after taking 20 months to add $1 trillion. A debt limit that had been in place since March 2015 was raised in March 2017 and again on September 8, 2017. Listen to this. The first time the nation's debt hit $1 trillion was in October 1981 during Ronald Reagan's first term. So look, in that's 37 years? So in 37 years, the U.S. then racked up $20 trillion. And you should ask yourself, who does America owe the money to, man? Because they get the money from the Federal Reserve. Isn't that, it's federal, right? Just like federal government, Federal Bureau of Investigation. Isn't that a part of the United States? No, that's ran by the international bankers, the so-called Jews. Okay. So they're the ones who really run this society behind the scenes, which people refer to as the deep state or the shadow government. It's the so-called white man that you don't see every day, who has everything, who has control of the earth. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. And what they're doing is they're collapsing America. Yet ultimately, the Heavenly Father is collapsing America, because who rules in the kingdom of men? The Heavenly Father, the one who you know as God. Okay, I got another article, and then I'm going to get into some scriptures, Lord's will. The U.S. national debt is rising 36% faster than the economy. Well, it happened again. You brothers can see here the U.S. now owes $21 trillion. In a single day last week, from Thursday to Friday, the national debt grew by $73 billion. Whew. And really, it's more than this. But this is just the number that they're putting out, so I'm going to go according to this. On Friday afternoon, the national debt of the U.S. hit another major milestone, soaring past $21 trillion for the first time ever. Clearly, that is an enormous number. It's actually larger than the size of the entire U.S. economy, which is pretty incredible. Yeah, the GDP, gross domestic product, because Esau likes to talk about the GDP. Well, look, the debt is higher than the GDP. So how would America ever get out of debt? That's why you had certain people asking for debt forgiveness. This place is done. But what's always been the more important story about America's pile of debt is how rapidly it's growing. And see, that's the spirit. All these analysts, they talk about America being in a rapid decline, a precipitous decline, because this thing is moving fast. Because pretty much you devils, your sins have come up before heaven, like I say in Revelation, the 18th chapter. And so now the Lord is just making a quick a quick judgment of this place, man. He's making quick and haste in the destruction of this place. 215 billion. Oh, I'm sorry. And in the month of February alone, the national debt grew by an astounding 215 billion. 215 billion is larger than the GDP of New Zealand, Greece, Oregon, more than twice the size of the GDP of New Mexico, just in a single month. For last year, for example, the U.S. economy grew by 2.5% in real terms, i.e., stripping out inflation. Even if you include inflation in the calculation, the size of the U.S. economy increased by 4.4%. Yet, the national debt grew by 6%. On a proportional basis, the national debt expanded 36% faster than the U.S. economy. At the end of 2008, and then you see I'm jumping around per usual. This is what I do just to get the meat. For example, the size of the U.S. economy was 14.5 trillion. A decade later, the size of the economy is 19.7 trillion, 36% greater. Yet, over the past 10 years, the national debt has grown from 9.4 trillion to over 21 trillion, a growth rate of 123%. It's really, really hard to pretend that this is good news, but that doesn't stop people from trying. And who is that? You proud devils who think that this place is going to bounce back. And that's pretty much the gist of it. So I'm going to get into the scriptures now. This is the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2. Verse, I'll start at 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. And what's the vision? America being destroyed. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. And when we see that, man, it's hastening. And the scriptures say that the great day of the Lord, it hasteneth. All right. Verse 4, behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him. And whose soul is that talking about? The soul of the so-called white man, the Edomite, according to the Bible. And he's lifted up with pride. And it tells you that in the book of Obadiah, that the pride of his heart has deceived him. But the just shall live by his faith. And the just is talking about the Israelites, the elect of the nation of Israel. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine. You can read about that in Jeremiah, the 51st chapter, and the book of Revelation, I believe it's the 14th chapter. The wine of the wrath of his fornication. Okay, it's talking about his doctrine. Okay, his democracy, his IMF funds, his monetary system, the magic money machine, as Eustace Mullins called it. That's his wine. He is a proud man, see? He's a proud man. The pride of his heart has deceived him. Because it don't have to say Esau in the ledger. By precept upon precept, which is why you're supposed to read the scriptures pertaining to Isaiah, the 28th chapter, you can clearly see that this is talking about Esau, the so-called white man, the devil, the wicked, according to the Bible. Neither keepeth at home, right, which is why he's not in Petra, okay? Because the so-called white man doesn't keep at home. That's why he has, the scriptures say that his tongue walketh through the earth. Yeah, so he doesn't keep at home. Okay, he sends out his doctrine, then the nations get weakened. And he's up in there, man. He's knocking down their infrastructure, sending in Halliburton to create some more infrastructure, setting up garrisons, military bases. Because American embassies and American military bases are prominent all throughout the world, man. They're the main presence throughout the earth. And is as deaf, yeah, because wherever he goes is deaf, because he's the border of wickedness. Because wickedness and sin, that leads to what? Death. The wages of sin is death. And it tell you in Malachi again that he's the border of wickedness. That's Malachi, the 1st chapter. So wherever he goes, he spreads death. And cannot be satisfied. Yeah, that's right. He can't be satisfied. He doesn't take pleasure in his goods. Like the scriptures say in Sirach, the 14th chapter. He wants more and more. But gathereth unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. Which is why you have a term, the New World Order. Which is what the so-called white man, in particular the so-called Jew international bankers, want to establish. Okay, they want all nations to come together under one religion, one monetary system. Okay, they want to destroy all sovereignty. Shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Now let's look up that word. Thick clay. And you see all these other nations, they're telling America to go home, to get out of their country. That's that parable. And what are they saying? Look, you stole from me. Okay? We want our land back. And that word is like batya. Yep. And you say it's something pledged, pawn goods, thick clay, weight of pledges, heavy debts. And that's a heavy debt. That's a real heavy debt. 21 trill, more than your GDP. So you can't even really put together like a 5-year plan to get out of that, man. Because it ain't like, okay, well, we got the GDP. The GDP is $5 trillion more. Okay, so we got a surplus, so we can take 2.5 of that, 2.5 trillion of that, and put that towards paying off the debt. No, America will never get out of the debt, man. Which America's gonna be destroyed, man. That's ultimately why America's never gonna get out of the debt, because the Lord is gonna send missiles over here. This is Jeremiah 50:23. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? And that's the time that we're in. Because this is ultimately going to be fulfilled when America is destroyed. Yet everything is a process. Just like when the Lord destroyed those nations that were in our land, the land of Israel. What did he say? He took them out little by little. See, the Lord deals incrementally. Because really this devil has been going down since the 60s, the late 60s. It says, when thou set thy nest amongst the stars, from thence will I bring thee down. Because when you look, Esau has been losing ever since then. He's been losing every war, starting with the Vietnam War, because that was during which started as the Indochina War between the French and the Vietnamese, and then America got involved, and that coincided with when Esau went out into outer space. Even though he didn't go to the moon because of the Van Allen belt, he did go up and he set up military caches. He set up satellites. From thence, he's been going down because what happened? You had the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man rising up in them different movements. Esau started losing his losing control of his people. You had the free love movement, counterculture, radical movements. It has just been in a precipitous decline ever since then, and it's really precipitated now, man. It's really picking up. Okay, so yeah, now this place is being broken. And it's ultimately going to become a desolate wilderness. And that's pertaining to the book of Isaiah, the 13th chapter. All right. Wait, Salaki, bear with me. This is Nahum chapter 3, verse 19. There is no healing of thy bruise. Yeah, so there's no healing for America. Thy wound is grievous. That's right. That 21 trillion, man, that's grievous. You're not bouncing back from that, man. All that hear the bruit of thee shall clap the hands over thee, for upon whom have not thy wickedness passed continually? Yeah, that's right. So nobody's going to lament over you except for those merchants that made money. Okay, all these people, they're with the downfall of America. Even your own people over there in Europe, man. Why? Because you're a complete dirtbag, man. Straight up. Now this is wait, let me X this out, Salakia. This is Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 7. Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. Yeah, golden cup in the Lord's hand because the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Okay, the so-called white man was set up to fulfill biblical prophecy. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Yeah, so the nations have drunken of the wine, which is talking about your doctrine, and now they're mad, which they're madmen, which are crazy, they're bugged out, and they're liable to do anything. Okay, and we know what they're going to do. They're going to shoot missiles over here. Because when somebody's a madman, and we see a lot of madmen out in San Francisco, man. Just people talking to themselves, bugging out. It's like a wild animal, man. You don't know what's going to happen. And that's the mindset that these nations are in, man. They ready to go, man. Well, it says, it says in, what is that? I want to say, it's Joel. It's Joel, the third chapter. About the Valley of Jehoshaphat and about how before these nations get gathered to that Valley of Jehoshaphat, which is Yahweh Shaphat, what do they got to do? They got to beat their pruning hooks into swords, man. Meaning they're anteing up, man. They putting a military, they putting their money into the military. So then what? They can fulfill this prophecy, man, of America being destroyed. Because right now they're mad. And now what are they doing? They're mad. They're getting their military together, and then ultimately they're going to shoot missiles over this place. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her? Take balm for her pain. If so be, she may be healed. Yeah, and that's what balm is supposed to do. All right, you have a wound, and you put some balm on it, and you bounce back. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Yeah, that balm's not working. Okay, and you see, the balm doesn't work, and all it does is put you in more debt. Forsake her and let us go everyone into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. Which again, that's why the Lord is jacking his place up so quickly, man. It's out of nowhere. And you Edomites, you're bewildered. You're shell-shocked. It's like it's the third round, 2:45 to go, and you already on the ropes, man. You already on the ropes. But guess what? Just like Jack Johnson used to do, he used to take them devils and he used to knock them out and pick them back up and knock them out again. That's what the Lord is doing to America and all you Edomites. All right, you catching pure, holy hell, all right? And rightfully so. Okay, so let me get out of that. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 4. Thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, how have the oppressors ceased? The golden city ceased. Yeah, upon who have not thy wickedness cast continually, your stroke passed continually. Okay. And now that's why all these other nations, man, they're taking up a proverb against you, and they see that you're falling. The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. And that's the time that we're in. We're in the time of the so-called white man being casted down, which was a prayer, man, when you go to Psalms, the 17th chapter. O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. Okay? He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. Yeah, like we read in, was that the book of Joel? Or Nahum, I'm sorry. In the book of Nahum. Upon whom have not thy wickedness passed continually? See? He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindereth. Yeah, because your wickedness has extended upon everybody, man. And so people are looking at you in debt. All right, they're looking at the opioid epidemic. They're looking at all these just weirdos, rainbow colored bug outs. And nobody's like, oh, nobody's feeling bad for America, man. Okay, nobody's feeling bad for you, you so-called Americans, you so-called white people over here, man. This is Joel chapter 3, verse 19. Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness. Yeah, because Esau is in charge of modern-day Egypt, modern-day Babylon, modern-day Assyria. Okay, this is all talking about the so-called white man. For the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. Yeah, and that's why this place is being destroyed. Because what you've done to Judah and the rest of the tribes over here in America. Lynching us, castrating us, burning us at the stake. Okay? You got to pay for that, man. And you are paying for it. And what you're doing right now is you're preparing to go into Iran, all right, to hit a lick, to try to bounce America back. And there's no new thing under the sun. And I got the precept, and I'm going to read a little bit here in 1 Maccabees, the 5th chapter, and get to the point in the 6th chapter. Because, again, there's no new thing under the sun. You did this aforetime, and you're trying to do it again. Okay? Because that's what the so-called white man does. All right? He's low in funds. He got to hit a lick. Okay? He got to come up. He got to try something, man. All right? Well, damn, what can I do? I'm in all this debt. All right? Everybody done woke up to me. Well, fuck it. Let's go steal some more. But the scriptures say, when thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. Okay? Because you can no longer spoil as you used to, man, because everybody is woken up to you. And now it's time for your ass to be spoiled. All right, so this is 1 Maccabee, the 5th chapter. I'm going to just go to the 65th verse. Afterward went Judas forth with his brethren. This is talking about Judas Maccabees, all right, a Levite. And fought against the children of Esau in the land towards the south, where he smote Hebron and the towns thereof, and pulled down the fortress of it, and burnt the towns thereof round about. There you go, Esau again, man. We always been giving it to Esau, man. We've been fighting from the womb, man. He's our mortal enemy. From thence he removed to go into the land of the Philistines and passed through Samaria. At that time certain priests, desirous to show their valor, were slain in battle, for that they went out to fight unadvisedly. And that's another point. Yeah, you got to be in order. Okay? So Judas turned to Azotus in the land of the Philistines, and when he had pulled down their altars and burnt their carved images with fire and spoiled their cities, he returned into the land of Judea. Yeah, so pretty much we was giving it to Esau so bad that he had to do something, man, because our ancestors pretty much put a damper on Antiochus Epiphanes' kingdom, man, because I was a main money maker. Okay, when he had, pretty much we were a colony. We were a colony of those Greeks, those Edomites who were calling themselves Greeks. First Maccabees 6:1. About that time, King Antiochus, traveling through the high countries, heard say that Elymas in the country of Persia was a city greatly renowned for riches, silver, and gold, and that there was in it a very rich temple, wherein were coverings of gold and breastplates and shields, which Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian king, who reigned first among the Grecians, had left there. Wherefore he came and sought to take the city and to spoil it, but he was not able, because they of the city, having had warning thereof,